On this episode of Hot Rod Hoarders, we're going to go check out the biggest collection of Mopar cars and parts that I've ever seen. A few weeks ago, I got an email from a guy named Frank Parks. He lives in Summerville, Georgia, and he runs a shop named Mopar Restos. And what I didn't fully understand, even though he told me that he had a big collection, he even called it a hoard, I didn't realize how big of a collection and how detailed of a collection this would be until I got there. So I wanted to try to do his collection justice, show it to you guys, and encourage you to reach out to people like this. This guy, he has every part you could ever need for a Mopar. He sells this stuff. I mean, this is a business for him. So I do want to make sure that I get his contact information there. I'm going to put that in the description. I'm also going to put it here on the screen. So this is a pretty cool opportunity. If you're restoring a Mopar muscle car, this is your guy. This is your connection to all of the legit parts. All of his cars outside of the building are affordable. They're A-bodies, meaning Dodge Darts, Plymouth Valiants, four-door cars, really affordable stuff that you could get out and really use without worrying about, messing up your high-dollar car. He's had the high-dollar cars, the B-body cars like the Roadrunners and Super Bs and so on, but he's used them for his business. He's bought and sold and traded on those cars to make money for his shop. So these A-body cars, they're part of his collection. These things aren't necessarily for sale, they're just things that he brought home. And his explanation for that is that 75% of these cars that are in his collection would have been crushed had he not bought them. So even though they're sitting outside, they're getting rusty, they're not improving at all by sitting out here, but it's better than the alternative of these cars getting crushed. And he had a story for every single car of junk guys, that knew him and would let him know about these cars that were about to be scrapped. And he was able to get in there and save them before they went to the crusher. So really neat to see this guy be so passionate about these cars, even though they're not the high-dollar auction cars that everybody dreams about. On most of my videos, I do all the talking. I kind of like to do the research. I like to research the cars and the parts and the people. But in this case, Frank is so in tune with his collection that I just kind of let him run with it. And I followed him around everywhere we went. We went in his backyard. We went into all of these different trailers. And we're talking about tractor trailers, 53-foot trailers, 6 of them, packed full of parts. All of them labeled, all of them documented. This is amazing.
I'd love to have them all indoors and they wouldn't be rusting, and that would be nice. But since I can't, at least they're better than being in the crusher. It's too good to crush in my eyes.
Yeah.
And I didn't know it's just very poor. The story is one family owned the car, used it up, a couple, the kids or whatever, and parked it in 1974, and it was parked on their premises until they died.
Wow.
And then the junk man got it and tow dollied that one up to the Mopar Nationals. It's a big block, 4-barrel 383, dual exhaust, 66 4-door.
Wow.
Very interesting. And it's one of like 200 something made.
That's cool.
It's very low production. Of course, at the Mopar Nationals in the early mid-90s, twice I took it up there. All they won was the fenders and the front end of it.
Yeah. 4-door.
I drove it back here around 95, or that last year I took it up there, and that was it. It's never had a battery in it since, but it's a runner-driver car. Original paint, and I rescued that one out of a North Georgia junkyard. It was going to be crushed. And this one here is a real 67 Ford LRT. This is mine. It's a basket case. It has a different front clip so people are thrown by it. But ME Motor's been on a stand, basically, not just here, but it's been on a stand since the early 70s.
Wow.
It was a motor out of a junkyard, was drag raced and hurt. And anyway, it came from an estate a man bought. I'm sort of jumping around, but that's a 68 344 speed GTS. Okay. Rescued out of it, literally at wrecking yard the week when I got it out of the tow dolly. The next week, that little 100-yard was crushed. Done. I purchased it sitting on concrete blocks, no hubs, no rear end. They torched the leaf springs.
Wow.
No motor, no transmission. VIN number on the dash, unmolested. Data plate, unmolested. very legible, factory 4-speed car. So what do? Instead of parting it out, I start going to Mopar Nationals and the big shows, and I buy a 68 motor, and I buy a 68 data radiator, and a 68 bell housing and 4-speed. I have all the parts correct to build that car. That's my old Valiant I drove in here in the late 80s. A $200 Valiant. A little 360 Duster, 74, big bumper car, $100 bill at a junkyard, sitting with no motor, transmission, and the hood on the roof.
Wow.
$100 bill.
$100.
Towed it home on a tow dolly, put a Valari motor and tranny 2-barrel, running motor, cleaned it all up and got it running, and it's never, that was in the early 90s. Wow. Life took over.
Yeah.
But it's
a good solid car.
Yes, sir, it still is. It's got a little rust in floorboard. I took the carpets out and stuff, but it's hung in there. Original Hemi orange, that's what caught my eye.
Yeah.
Gave $175 for that car. Behind the service station, they towed it in, the police caught it drunk in it from Alabama and towed it in, and the guy never picked it up. So I bought it for the storage.
Wow.
273 2-barrel Dart GT, factory 4-speed car. Factory 8 3/4. That's the heavy-duty 340 style.
Yeah.
Suspension, sway bar, rear end.
Pretty well-equipped car.
For a little GT, and it was a 2-barrel, missing the motor, but the 4-speed's still in it, and the shifter and everything. I rescued that one out of the Blackberry field. 340 4-speed. 1973 Georgia inspection sticker on it.
Yeah.
Take a look at this side. That's what killed it. It got totaled in 1973.
Oh, goodness.
340 4-speed. Look at the 4-speed still sticking out of the floor. It got wrecked behind a house, downwind of a big coal-fired Georgia power plant. So all that coal goodies rusted. The car was a Georgia car, but look at what it did. And this was like that when I bought it. I've had this car 30 years.
Wow.
And it was, I'm sure it's gotten worse, but that was it.
Just ate up.
But it still has the original dual point, the high flow 340 manifolds, the original carb. I've got the air breather for it, but it's a complete drivetrain. And I thought by now, certainly I would have utilized it. I could have sold it a million times, but anyhow. Sort of rare.
Yeah.
And there's a 69 body to put it in, another 69 body with beautiful rust-free floors. Ugly cars with rust-free floors, rust-free trunks. This one I bought in the early 90s. It's come from Alabama. It was very weathered like this. It's an original paint, never been painted on. 72 340 3-speed Demon. Original rallies, disc brakes. I drove this car back here when I first moved here in spring of '94.
Really?
Backed it up, took the battery out. It has never run again. And it's 100% matching number car. I mean, the alternator's original in this car.
Wow.
The ignition box on it. It looks horrible. It's been old, you try to preserve it. But the alternator still got the original little tags and little wire fingers on it. The original spark box, the original distributor, original carburetor. I mean, dated original parts, not just replacement of that correct model number, but the dated. It's all original. A lot of sheet metal.
Yeah.
Most of it at this point is, some of it still trickles out here, but most of it's just sort of here. I used to sell a lot. All this is, I used to have 2 other yards that I leased, and that was my whole wrecking yard, and then everything got condensed here at the end, as far as my parts. Rescued it when scrap was $16 a hundred. I got $600 plus storage in that thing, and it's worth about $200. But I see it was going to the crusher. I bought it from that recycle man. He got it, and it was a local lumber yard. He drug it out of the woods. You can barely see the signage on one of the doors. The key's still hanging in the ignition.
Really?
Yep. It was parking like it had a 76 plate on it on the flatbed. Literally rescued these pair of Project Rat Rock 1-ton trucks. This was the better one. Rescued them as a pair from north here. They were going to the crusher, literally.
Yeah.
It was me or the crusher, and they treated me fair on the price I bought them. These are the Holy Grail pieces for 67 Coronet RTs. NOS ones. We got a lady in town. She gave like $2,500 for a pair of those NOS years ago. Wow. It's been 5-10 years ago.
Yeah.
For one of her cars. But and I didn't know you'd find them NOS anymore. But I found this car in Alabama up on Sand Mountain Inside, I've got over 100 motors in stock and over 100 transmissions racked up in stock. Thought I would do well with them. Now everybody wants late model Hemi stuff.
Yeah.
Boy, it's an 8 3/4 car. That's why I bought it. Local car, it would have gone to the local recycler, and it wouldn't. That rear end would have gone to the.
Yeah, they'd be gone.
There was no Mopar people here that cared.
Yeah.
This one, rusty floors, solid trunk, tree damage. Man called me from over near LJ, Georgia. No, he put it on Craigslist, and I called him, and then he returned my call. But anyway, basically he had to move out of the house, and he didn't want to crush the car.
Yeah.
So he was begging for a buyer. He treated me fair. Said it would run. I went over and bought it, and he would put it on the tow dolly, and it does run. A little 6-cylinder 3 on the tree. And I bought it home. It's a V8, a little burgundy car with a burgundy interior with all the little chrome, and it's a little chrome photo. Boy, that was a pretty little car in this day with all that beautiful burgundy, and just, to me, it needs floors. Of course, no one wants to fix a four-door, much less a crusty one, so there it sits. But it had the wideband wheels on it. The GTS, they're in the trunk now. I took them off and put them in the trunk. But the numbers matching, original everything.
Yeah.
I had to rebuild the power steering, reseal the power steering pump. And I started looking at the brakes. The brakes don't function. But this, I drove it here. It'll run, it'll start up again. I haven't started in 10 years. But it'll start off the bottom. This is a sort of a catch-all, and it's the least organized. I don't know the lighting. Years ago, when I built all the racks, I got this a 53-foot trailer. It's got wheel racks, double wheel racks all the way down the whole length of it, with vintage Mopar. These are small wheel pattern, my wideband wheels, like for my GTSs and stuff. But a mix of wheels, and then I have these wheels and tires, rubber. But try to utilize the space.
Yeah, you did a good job of that.
I do a lot of welding and fabricating. And I just sold this set. I've got a lot of sets of wheels. There ain't nothing exotic, not the Hemi H wheels. I've still got one Hemi H wheel, but I don't have any exotic wheels. But to me, just original wheels, 14-inch, are exotic.
Yeah.
To have a max set of 5 or 4 to offer somebody or to put on your own car. I like that myself. Better than a replacement wheel. That's all 4-speed stuff on it. And a buddy of mine scored the old shelving out of a Dollar General store years ago. Thanks, Dale. He turned me on to this shelving. I had to weld brackets on it, but wonderful shelving. I need more.
I like all these tires up here.
Yeah, even got some Cokers.
Given that I work at Coker,
Is that a set of them? Yeah.
Looks like
That's red lines. Tires. A few little goodies like some 8 3/4 housings. I've already got them blasted. I got some for my own lay bodies.
Yeah.
Like a Dana, a few Danas. One of them's for that 67 RT. That's a customer's Dana. I got another Dana, a 41070, all built, except for the brakes. It's gonna. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. Probably my black RT. Convert it to a 4-speed. I saved the Hemi 4-speed, and I saved all the 4-speed parts. Big block A-body K-frames, 67 through 9. A buddy turned me on to one, and I just bought another. They're hard to find, but that's a mix of stuff. But here's some. These are a 1-ton van. That's not okay. Goodie start here. Stainless steel. 60. They reproduce these now. They bring $300 a set repros. Yeah. But all these are stainless steel red rings. For 69, 70. Some more red rings, even some aluminum for these 71 and 2 Demon cars. And some very nice takeoffs, very nice originals. Again, I never sold my nice ones. That's why I have them. And then these, I just had a couple people wanted these. They're very hard to find. These they put them on little 69, 70 Valiants. But they also put them on Hemi Roadrunners, Hemi Cudas. Stainless, they don't reproduce them. I don't know what they bring. These are nice. I got 5 sets or whatever of them. I have cop cars for sale and those with the wheels. The generics. These are your 71 up, no name Plymouths and stuff. Aluminum, nice. You know, most of them, some show quality, driver quality. 68 darts, 68 for your GTSs and stuff. I've never sold them other than to upgrade. I've got, there's my wheels, my correct wheels. You know, I'm not saying I won't sell those, but they're not going yet. I got plans with 68 darts. These are very hard to come by. 67, 68 Dodge, your Chargers, your Coronets. You know, very, they don't reproduce them. I don't know what they're worth. I've sold a buddy a set of those. These might bring $200 or more, $300 a set to the right person, cleaned up. I don't know. I've got enough value, so I want to keep them. Some of the bigger ones, they're rare. 67 GTX, I only got 1 set of those. You know, any of the cheap Belvederes and stuff, but that's what the GTX would have. And you have to have the correct early wheels for these large diameter. Come on in here. This is just transmissions. I've got 5 racks. I built all these racks. These are the last ones I did years ago. But 5 racks of these indoors. I do sell some. You know, I save it all. 6-cylinder. You know, I save it all. 318 904s. Some are 727s. You save them all. This is all automatic transmission shift linkages. You used to sell the more common ones. Some of the I save C-body stuff. No one wants it. You know, that's the stuff I'll die with, and that's my reality. But that's all right. But I do have a lot of kickdown linkages and stuff I've hoarded because they're always hard to find, and they're $400 or $500 now for reproductions. So I was lucky enough to find some sets, like a master set off a Roadrunner or something, and I would keep it and use it as a reference. So when I went to a swap meet and bought a pail of parts and got 6 pieces, I would come home and I could make sets. You know, your trinkets become treasure at that point.
Sure, absolutely.
But you have to be smart enough not to sell a set for $100. You know, don't short sell it. And I still got, you know, some of my reference sets taped up. Like I got a set up for a 440 GTX. They didn't come often. Very hard to find, even 30 years, 25 years ago. And even when I needed the money, I didn't sell the stuff. A lot of smalls. This is just smalls. Anything from armrests. I basically cleaned out of my shop. I put all these shelves up like 3 winters ago. And I had the trailer body, but I didn't have it organized. And all this stuff basically come out of my shop and parts building. A lot of fenders. Luckily they're indoors. I got a lot of A-body fenders. Some for sale, but you know, some are very nice for some of the cars I have. I'll show you a bunch of other fenders. This is like I told you, I've got a motor. This whole thing, just motors. Both sides, buried. And these are not on carts. I drug these in with a chain, this chain fall over the doorways, and drug them in on the oil pans. I mean, that's just the way they are, but they're dry. And most of them, if I pulled them out of a car, they would be whole. And most of the times I would not strip a motor, even when I could have sold the power steering pump or a carburetor. I never did. I didn't. It just wasn't. If somebody wants one, I'll strip it now to a point and work with them. This is a hoard, and I'm out of storage space, but I utilize what I can. It's full. But every little piece, everything. Like here's some, like B-body, your satellite Roadrunner Coronet air conditioner vent, 68 satellite, right? You know, and the date and what it came off of. Every little piece tag. Even some of these, like I tried eBaying and I did some B-body heater controls. I cleaned them up and I got some fair money for them. I'm going to do more of that when I can in the future. You can't put them dirty and nasty and get anything for them. You can give them away. A-body 4-speed humps. That's not for sale ever. You know, I got a console stashed. I'm out of space, but I know where they're at. I got A-body stuff everywhere. Wiper motors. I just sold a couple wiper motors. I usually don't sell a lot, and I sold two little 2-speed wiper motors, cheap, 30 and 40 bucks. You know, cheap. But you don't normally get to sell those too often. Wiper arms, I've sold a lot. Wipers have been very good to me, and I've kept every one of them very organized. A bodies I'm hoarded up on. My B bodies, all the more desirable ones, I'm out of. Like the Roadrunner wiper arms and stuff, they just started reproducing a few years ago. Thank God, because I was out of them. Didn't have any more. Not even a parts one. I still got linkages and stuff, and a few motors. Alternators and starters. Some very, very rare to have a date that's correct, but I see some of these guys, some of these, you know, eBay, they're asking $300, $400, $500, $600 for one restored, you know, with the dated this and that. I haven't gone there. I have never. If I've noticed a special date when I disassembled it, I will wrote on the tag.
Yeah.
But I don't have time to mess with it. All these are engines again. These are on roller carts. Some were runners, some weren't. I got a real jewel in here. This is one rack. I'll get you in the shop later. I got a rack. We had another rack of 4-speeds in the end of that other trailer body, which in the dark, who cares? Here's a rack of 4-speed stuffish. The highlight here, I waited till 2 other guys, Mopar flippers. One guy's still alive and kicking Mopar full time, you know, for a 70-year-old man. Hemi 4-speed, A-body aluminum case. I thought it was like a super stock tranny, like a Hemi car. I've come to learn they didn't put those in a super stock. And Ronnie Sox told me that. I talked to him at Bristol show. I described what I have. This has Liberty gears, you know, it's clutch to synchros, you know, the dog gear type things. I've never drove one in my life, but this is an NOS transmission. No markings of no witness marks ever where it was bolted up to anything. Still got the Liberty gears, you know, etched into the. You see the old vintage prices on it. That was from the other man. I traded some Hemi exhaust manifolds. I got like $1,200 or $1,000+ in it.
Wow.
I've had it for a number of years. I'm sure it's a very sellable piece. I thought I would use it. It's, you know, I had these dreams of a big monstrous big block in a street, but I found you can't drive that on the street.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Still a super cool piece.
Yes, sir. And it's an NOS one at that. So that is a super cool piece. And I got it looking at it. And it took me like almost 14 years or something to get it. One man had it, and then he wouldn't get rid of it, and then he sold it to this dealer friend of mine in Alabama, and that's who I got it from when he was ready to flip it. All these motors and dash parts, but you walk past, you just don't know. This one here, a 383 high performance. Of all things, see the unsilenced Roadrunner style breather? Original carb, originally made 79,000 original miles. This thing come out of a 69 Fury, big full C-body wagon, red on red. The man's that gave me this, his dad bought the wagon brand spanking new. A red on red wagon, and he grew up in it, and his dad died. The wagon had got wrecked on one side, and it just weathered down in the backyard, and I ended up, he knew I wouldn't scrap it out, you know, that I would save what I could, and I want to put that in the dark, minus the AC stuff. It's a strong run motor. I drove the car before I parted it. I mean, the hoarder syndrome. 1 voltage regulator would be good, you know, and maybe another one. I mean, at what point do you stop? I mean, now you're going to park this other car out in the front yard or in this junkyard, you're getting all this stuff. Well, hell, there's another voltage regulator. I mean, other than giving one to a friend to stick around the yard, I mean, what do you do? I'm not ready to, there are a couple NOS ones here and there stashed in there I'll use down the road, but how do you stop yourself? Here, they're keeper stuff.
Oh yeah.
You know what this is? A max wedge cross ram and max wedge heads. 3. These are used in the early 70s, and the man, this was laying in the back seat of a 64 Belvedere post car.
Wow.
It was not a max wedge car. It was a 6-cylinder car. The man raced it as a max wedge motor in the early 70s out in the country in Alabama. And the heads were in his barn. This stuff hadn't run in 100 years. And a buddy of mine turned me onto it, and I did some work for that man. But anyway, I ended up getting them, and I haven't done anything with it. Dual snorkels, you know, keeper stuff at this point, more than I need, but I've always kept my high performance stuff. Little A-body scoops, keeper stuff. Carburetors, A lot of junk carburetors. You know, you take 3 or 4 to me. Junk carburetors. They're a godsend.
Yeah.
I've never bought a new carburetor or a reman carburetor in my life. I've always, whether it's a slant 6 or for customers, I've rebuilt Hemi carburetors or 6-pack carburetors. Always rebuilt them. Just odd stuff you pick up. One set's like a Cal Custom. I think these are Cal Customs. Cool big block stuff. Let's see. Just for entertainment. This man's dead. A junkyard in Alabama. A friend took me to. I paid $15 a pair for those things in '93. For these. Isn't that cool?
That is cool.
Yeah, and I cleaned those up. I sandblasted that one, which is probably a no-no, but anyway, I don't know what I was doing. But anyhow, it is what it is. But I don't think I got hurt. They're not broken or anything. They're decent cores. You know, I could have flipped that kind of stuff, but I just realized keep it. And this here, a little small block, Mickey Thompson's. They came to me 05, but I got some big block Mickey Thompson's hiding in here. I just wanted for entertainment value. See what the tag said, but anyway, they're hiding. I've got them here. Some of the OEM valve covers got very pricey, and now they reproduce them. AMD reproduces them, but I'm not sure if they're still available. But anyhow, that's a 70-something 440 hiding in there, 77 or something. Smaller motor. It gets interesting over here. I've got some 340 A bodies out back, and I got 340 motors, but every motor has a car. And some of this stuff I have duplicate air breathers. I've never sold. Oh, that's 340 air breathers, these orange ones, and they're 70, 71 style up here. I got those up at the Mopar Nationals years ago, and I paid big, like $150 or something for one. And those are hard to find, and now they're eBay $400, $500, $600. Stupid prices. But anyway, I'm not trying to cash out on those, but that's my future. This is all, whether it's a 340 carb cores, 340 blocks, 340 J heads, 340 X heads. All this is 30-year. Most of it's all from a long time ago. You don't get it anymore. It's just not out there. 340 exhaust manifolds. I got some of it's 318 stuff. Don't be misled. But I got stashes. Like 5, 6, 7 sets of them. Enough for all my motors and cars. 340 cores down there. A couple of cores. They've had them for 30 years. Here's a cool little motor. 273 Commando. Factory little dress-up valve covers. Factory chrome air breather. Little 4-barrel AFB. Dual point distributor. Forged pistons.
Wow.
It's a little high performance. I think it was only rated at like 235.
Lots of trim.
And you put 100 pieces away, you might sell one. Well,
Yeah.
if you put 250 pieces away, you might sell a couple. There's a ratio there. It's not favorable. A, B, and C. I got to segregate it and mix a bit, but it's there. I don't sell as much trim anymore. I used to sell repro, and people aren't doing it. They don't want original trim. They peel that crap off the side of the car. They don't want to spend the money to restore. This was the first trailer body I set down in '94. All these big block motors, and they're all on carts. There's not a lot. Like some rusty reined in crap. The earliest motor, I was trying to think before you come here, that down there is a 63 383 2-barrel. I pulled it out of a Newport. Complete motor. And that's the earliest, of anything. I don't think I have anything earlier than that as far as my motors. See that orange one hiding right there? Mm-hmm. That is a 1969 Roadrunner 383 high performance. Got it out of a junkyard in Alabama. Sitting in the engine plates in their big junkyard, a block building that the roof blew off of before I got there. They've already built it's a junkyard still in business. They already built a new engine building, and there was a few engines out there had been rained on, and this was one of them. It still had the power steering, the big Magnum High Pro manifolds, missing the carb, but again, everything's tagged. And I am pulling parts out of here. This is a trailer. All these brake boosters just recently got off the floor here onto the shelves because I took other stuff out and put them in another trailer. It's evolving, but it's not a priority. I spend more time if I start looking for something. I'll do a little mini organization and then go on. Like I just come in and see the steering boxes. I just come out here and got at the very end. I pulled a steering box out for a 69 Super Bee and rebuilt it for a customer just the other day on the workbench. And I wish I could, find some more customers that want a dated, original, correct, not a core that's from the 80s or something, but an original. That's dry, stored properly. Again, more crap, more. I probably can sell some of these big block trannies to the guys with the motors. I still have hope of selling some 440s and big block trannies, but there's a lot of trannies there. Of course, you got to have your little slant 6. I'm a slant 6 fiend. Oh yes, the wheel covers. And I got the wheel covers, or the nice ones, the sets are inside. But check out the mag wheel covers.
Yeah, I like those. Up there.
Everywhere you look, up. And just like all these air conditioning lines, I got a lot of Dart stuff I'll never use, but they're keepers. And that's about, the rest is C and some B body, not too desirable B, but it's mostly for sale, except for my Choice A body lines. And in like 15 years, I haven't sold maybe a couple. And that's the Hemi engine, all took apart, the box on the stand. But it's a 67 Hemi engine, and it was off the road since the early 70s.
Yeah, I noticed six carburetors.
6 Stromberg 97s on a max wedge port cross rim.
I was going to ask what it.
And there, you know, it's got the big ports like a max wedge.
Yeah.
And it has no casting number, no name, nothing. No ID whatsoever on it.
Wow.
Chrome plated linkage. One accelerated pump link is missing. Other than that, they all open and close, drive. They're a match set. I don't know too many people you can just go pull out beans, but this is all going to the Mopar Nationals. These tags tell the story. This, I think, is an aftermarket 67 shifter I bought. 4-speed with console. Yeah, this is an aftermarket hearse, but if it's made, it's not like a factory hearse A-body. It's been a little different, but anyway, it's a factory. It's a cool piece for a non-original shifter, and it will come up through the original 4-speed A-body, and super hard to come by. I have seen some more of those. This is sort of like a holy grail piece in the A-body world. A little 4-speed hearse. This one's just the way I bought it. This one came at the Nationals. 92 Nats. I gave $20 for this thing in 92, and I knew it was rare.
Yeah.
That 4-speed GT out there out of the Blackberry patch has the same shifter still in it. All these years untouched. And I have another one of these here up here. The whole shifter. Another for an A-body guy. Brewers reproduces the handles today. And they're probably like 400 or 300, but they don't say hearse on them.
Yeah.
You know, he didn't want to get into the licensing deal. And went through it. I didn't know how good it was, but it turned out to be a good core transmission. And it's all correct. Correct shifter, correct linkage. A buddy of mine re-chromed that years ago through year one at their Hearst program. But 69 Super B side scoops. I've sold like 3 sets of those. I still got one odd one I never could sell. But bucket seats, security system, 80,000 mile car. I saved that when the man was going to rob the motor and tranny out of that thing and put it in the Coronet. It's a complete whole motor. Got this in the early 90s. One of my customers in the Keys of Florida, I was sending parts to. He's still down there. We still contact each other every once in a while, just as friends. This he found in a wrecking yard down there in the Keys. And it was in a big Dodge full-size C-body Polara. Local car. Old lady got sick or ill, whatever. They towed the car in the junkyard. The man knew he had something special.
Yeah.
It's a 65 426 street wedge. Not a Hemi, but a street wedge, not a max wedge, single 4-barrel, 365 horse, dual point distributor. The AFB carb, it's like a junior 440 before the 440 came out.
Wow.
And they only made in like 64 and 5, 2 years. They put these in like the Dodge and Plymouth mid and full size cars. There was only like 2,500 packages in all 4 car years and models. Very rare package.
That's crazy.
Charger interior, that one I'm working on. You just never have enough room. Then you gotta have slant 6s and a flathead 6. I mean, you just never have enough 6s on this, right? The market's hot for them. But anyway, you gotta save them. Gotta save them. You have to let them room before you bring them back. The people that bought this car new in town and left, the sister got married here in town the next year. And borrowed this car in 1967, it's a 66 car, and took it to Panama City or wherever for their honeymoon.
Wow.
So they got fond memories. They're both alive. And the son is our local school superintendent for the county, and they're going to restore their car. You know, I've been working on it for them. I had to put AMD floors, AMD trunk, an original quarter. There's a man in Rome, Georgia had it. It was always an North Georgia car since new. And he used to go to all the shows, Atlanta, everywhere you went to a Mopar show, you know, in this region.
Yeah.
He went beyond what I went to. And I never owned a big Block A body. So I met him at the shows, and I said, well, I can't buy one, but I'm gonna buy the parts. I'm gonna clone them. So I started going to Mopar Nationals. But this man, his name is David Cole. He taught me at the shows what significant parts were on these cars, the K-frames and the mounts and the radiators and the manifolds. And he did not sell it to me. It went for 4 months to another Mopar buddy of mine.
Man, what an awesome day. I got to follow Frank around pretty much all afternoon, listening to these stories about all these cars and parts and pieces. And, you know, I really admire Frank for his ability to document all of these things and remember the stories. And, you know, it's just pretty amazing. So I hope you enjoyed this view of his collection. I know I probably missed a few things here and there. I know for sure I had to cut a couple of clips out because the audio was a little bit weird. But I hope that I did his collection justice, and I hope you enjoyed it. I appreciate you watching. I hope that you hit that subscribe button and hit the like button. Leave me a comment below, and stay tuned for a new video next week.